Alrighty, looks like we are live. How's it going, guys? Welcome to another Properties and Beers. That's right, it's Friday, time for another Properties and Beers. My name is Gaurav Gupta, CEO and founder of Ethical Property Investments. So tonight, I'm going to let you in on a few things we've been working on, but as is our tradition, our Friday tradition, we're going to crack open a new one. Now, today, it is something I saw at the bottler, and I was like, I can't go past it. It was interesting. So check this out. This is Stone and Wood, and it's a citrus rattler, which is beer cut with lime and beer cut with citrus. Uh, Refreshingly light, according to this. Let's give it a go. Now, brother, if you're watching, drop me a comment. Come say hi. It'd be great to see you around. Let's give it a go. Cheers, guys. Yep, do it again. It kind of tastes like those lemon drinks I've been having, the Japanese lemon drinks that are sort of only a little bit sweet but not overly sweet. But imagine one of those and a beer got together and had a baby, right? That's what it's kind of like. Now, if you're here, welcome, welcome, welcome. If it's your first time, fantastic, love to have you. And if it's your 50th time, love to have you back. Thank you. So, tonight, I'm going to let you in on a few things we've been working on. So, October's big shift in housing policy and why I believe that you cannot afford to ignore this. There's some new systems we've just launched this week for our STA projects on our webinar, and the new type of client we're really focusing on, and a brand new property option that's making investing in a higher cash flow product, smarter and even easier. And I promise you, by the end of tonight, you'll see why it all ties together. And you'll also see why the time to act might just be now. So before we get started, let's have another sip. Now, let's chat about. Brother, if you're watching, drop me a line. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and I'd love to hear from you. Now, I see there's two of you online watching right now. I can see you, right? Let's chat about housing policy. Let's kick off with the big picture. When the government makes it easier to buy with a smaller deposit, it usually only means one thing, and that is more buyers competing for the same homes. And that's exactly what's happening on the 1st of October. We're talking 5% deposits, no income caps, and higher property limits. That means a tidal wave of new buyers stepping right into the market. And really, think about what happens when demand jumps almost overnight. Prices, my friends, are not going to wait that long. So if you're thinking about buying, this window right now is different because once October hits, you're not just competing with a few people, you're competing with thousands. And October really isn't that far away. We're talking about 3 weeks. And it could look like 2021 all over again in the eastern seaboard, especially when it comes to areas like Brisbane and Sydney. And in Melbourne, hey, it might just look like 2018, 2017 when we had that massive boom. And as I said last week, this could be when the market started running quicker than anyone expected. And it's not just going to be house prices. Builders are already stretched, and adding a surge of demand after October, and you're not just paying for the property, you're paying more just to build it, right? And that's why I say the time to move is really before October. Waiting could mean stepping into a much hotter, much more expensive market. So, if you're still watching and you're having a beer, right, so let's have another one. This will be finished before the Properties and Beers is over, my friends. Let's chat about some new systems we've implemented. So here's what we launched this week at our webinar, our new process for our SDA projects. We've made some massive changes in how we start our NDI specialist disability accommodation projects. And I think you'll like why. It's about reducing risk and making things really clearer for investors. Because, here's the thing, if you've known me for a little while, you've probably seen me on Four Corners, and we really talk about some of the risks in the market. And, I've been racking my brain to figure out how do we de-risk this situation and make sure we onboard the right type of investor for the right type of house. So it all starts with a small deposit down. From there, we immediately focus on where participants want to live, not just any suburb, but the areas that truly matter to the people needing homes. The next comes finance guidance. And then while we're securing land, We have the balance of the project fee that goes into managing right the early steps, working with town planners, architects, getting everything lined right up. At the contract stage, we're going to be negotiating with the builder to make sure your designs meet SCA compliance and line up with the tenants actually want. And here's the thing, right? This is kind of the reverse of what the market's been doing historically. Historically, the market's basically said, yep, build it and hopefully will come, etc., etc. The issue is that model doesn't really work anymore. We saw that on the Four Corners report. We're drawing a line in the sand saying, hey, we're going to create a new model, making sure that we're going more of a project model rather than a build it and they will come model, right? And so, yes, we did a hybrid of both before, but now we're all in on our new model, right? So now let's also chat about one other shift we made. We also sharpened our focus on the type of clients we really want to work with when it comes to dealing with NDI specialist disability accommodation. So especially these days, right? I'm getting asked, people often ask, who should really be investing in SDA? Let's talk about why we're focusing on sophisticated investors and what that means for participants too. So before that, let's actually define what a sophisticated investor is. Look, in Australia, it's typically someone earning over $250,000 a year or holding over $2.5 million in net assets. And the reason why it matters is that when you have investors with serious capacity behind NDI specialist disability accommodation, you get fewer half-finished projects and more stable housing for participants where you're not putting in your last $20, as we spoke on the podcast earlier today that I was on. You're not putting in your last $20 at the final completion of the project. That's not the kind of investor who's right for NDI specialist disability accommodation. And look, I want to be really clear. This is not about shutting anyone out. It's about creating stability. Homes which are going to get completed so that participants get the certainty and the industry goes stronger. And as one of the wisest men in this space say, it's about making sure your money is patient money. And that's why we put those guardrails around this to make sure our system is better, stronger, and we're able to be here for the long term, because we're not here for a quick buck. We're here to hold your hand through the long term, right? Now, let's also chat. By the way, you might have tuned off saying, hey, I'm not a sophisticated investor. What do I do? Let's chat. But be here first. The exciting thing is throughout this, we haven't left smaller investors behind. Because look, let's be honest, not everyone, especially people who are watching, is going to qualify as a sophisticated investor, and that's okay. We've created another pathway through something that we were already doing, co-living, and we were doing SDA. We've created a hybrid product, and right, I can't tell you too much about it. It's kind of like a secret, right? But the hybrid products mean the two income streams as an option and lower risk. And so while if the SDA demand doesn't happen to be there, co-living still works in that house. And if you're new to this space and worry about getting stuck, and you really want the high cash flow, you might want to look at a hybrid investing model, and it might be the best way to get into the market the right way while still making a difference, right? I think it's the best of both worlds that allows you to sort of have the profitability potential of something at the lower level of SDA, as well as the stability that a co-living option might provide. Now, there's a lot of nuance, right? They could provide the best of both worlds: stable returns, real impact, and a smart entry point. We're talking about $800,000 plus here in Melbourne and surrounds, and rental yields range from $75,000 to over $150,000 per annum in some cases. But do your research; it's not for everyone. There is pros and cons and nuances to this. If you feel like you want to know more, definitely let us know about that, right? So let's put it all together. October's housing policy changes means that we're about to open the floodgates. We've launched a new system for our SDA project. We're focusing mainly on sophisticated investors for long-term stability. And we've rolled out a new hybrid product that we've rolled out a hybrid product that I really don't want to let too much out about, because honestly, the market's great at copying, and I don't want it to do a Frankenstein copy of what I'm doing, right? I want to make sure we're doing the right thing for the right people. And so these conversations are about housing and NDIS SDA both come back to the same point. Real people who need real homes, and investors deciding how they choose to be a part of that, right? And it's really got to be the right investor for the right home. At the end of the day, lots of people think property is just about buying bricks and mortar. And honestly, that's so far from the truth. In essence, it's about families, futures, financial freedom, and finance at the end of the day, right? So Here's my call to action. Don't sit on the sidelines waiting for October, because the only damn thing you're going to get sitting on the fence is splinters. By then, you're going to be stepping into hotter, pricier market. Don't say I didn't say so, because look, I've been talking about Melbourne for the last 6 months and it's been growing, right? The same way, take action now. Reach out, have a conversation with us or whoever you trust for your property journey. And let's find the right path that's right for you, whether it's, if you qualify for NDIS SDA, hybrid, co-living, or even dual key or another high cash flow strategy. And if you haven't followed us yet, hit follow on Ethical Property Investments across Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and we share a lot of free strategies, inside insights, and practical tips every week. We don't share beers, but we do share tips on which beers to get, right? So thanks for joining us tonight. And remember, do good and make money. Cheers, guys.